number 26. What values of x make the inequality true? So what we see here is we have a complex inequality, and whenever you are asked to solve an inequality or even an equation, what we want to do is get x by itself, get the variable by itself. The great thing about inequalities is that they follow the exact same steps as if you had an equal sign instead of an inequality. So there's only one additional thing that we have to look for at the very end, but everything else is the same as solving equations. So the very first thing I'm going to do is what I like to do is I like to draw a line where my inequality is. That shows me the middle of my inequality, and that shows me where the two sections are. And the first thing that I have to do no matter what is simplify each side. So by simplifying, that means I have to distribute if I need to, which I definitely have the distributive property here. That means that 2 multiplies the x and gives us a 2x, and the 2 multiplies a negative 4, which gives us a negative 8. The negative 9x stays the same, and the inequality stays the same, and there's no distributive property on the right-hand side of my inequality, so I'm not going to do anything over there. The next thing that I have to do to simplify is look at each side and decide if we need to combine like terms. Now on the left-hand side we have a 2x, we have an 8, and we have a negative 9x. The 2x and the negative 9x, they get to be combined because they both have x's. When we combine like terms, all we do is add the coefficient. So we're going to do the problem 2 minus 9, which is a negative 7, and then because they both had an x, we leave it as an x. But the negative 8 doesn't go anywhere. It's still part of our problem. It stays there on the left-hand side. And again, on the right-hand side, the negative 4x and the plus 13, they cannot be combined because they don't both have a variable, so we leave them the same. Now, the third step is always to move all your variables to one side. You can see that we have negative 7x's over here, and we have negative 4x's on the right-hand side. We want x to only be either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. It doesn't matter which side, but I think it's easiest to always move the variables to the left. So I need to get rid of the negative 4x's that are on the right-hand side, and I'm going to do that by adding 4x's. And then don't forget that whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And I'm going to write it underneath the negative 7x because those are the like terms. So the negative 4x's are gone from the right-hand side, and over on the left-hand side we have negative 7 plus 4, which is negative 3x minus 8, our inequality sign, it's still the same, and then I only have a 13 on my right-hand side. Now the goal is to get x by itself, and the first thing I have to do is get rid of a minus 8, and the way we get rid of subtraction is by adding. And then, of course, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So now my 8's are gone from the left-hand side. I have negative 3x is less than or equal to 21. And then my very final step is going to be getting rid of that multiplication of negative 3, and we get rid of multiplication by division, but what we're going to be doing is dividing by a negative 3. And the one and only thing that's different about inequalities is whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip your sign. So you can see that I'm dividing by a negative 3, which means that x will be by itself, but now I have to flip this sign. It's going to become a greater than or equal to sign, and then a negative 7. 21 divided by 3 is a negative 7. So after all that work, we end up with B as our final answer.